I'm big trouble in little prepper paradise, and what that has to do with is I've had to do statistical analysis of my own situation, situational awareness, like we always do. You should be doing that every quarter at least. Looking at your environment, all of that stuff, right? Just to know, because the world is changing rapidly, isn't it? We're under a lot of stresses. So I did that, and now I'm going to reveal big trouble in little prepper paradise. And what that is because of COVID, we now have about 15 to 20 million new prepper-minded people. They may not be preppers like us, but they are prepared to bug out right back home to their safe zone in this place called Maine. Now, obviously not all 15 to 20 million, but we did see this during COVID, massive influx of people, so bad that they were talking about shutting the border down between us and the South. And this was the reality of it. And these were all out-of-staters, not people's family members. These were just people coming up here to squat, you know, in their camper or rent a place or whatever, just to get out of the big cities. So it's obvious now that these people do have a plan. There's so much tourism in Maine, people know there's an abundance and all of that. So in my little town, I've always considered it prepper paradise. We have an abundance of food and everybody's pretty self-sustaining and all of that. But what happened recently, after doing my calculations, shows me most people's kids now out of New York, Boston, Connecticut, and many other places, all of their kids, all of our kids that have gone out of state already have a plan to come back home. And they realized that what everybody realized is that big cities, populated areas, are death traps in a true SHTF emergency, or something even as minor as COVID. Hospitals overrun, yada, yada. So they're literally already made plans. And not only that, they did it during COVID. Maine's population was flooded with people from out of state. Our own children and grandchildren and kinfolk just alone raised this up. But then add in all the other people coming out of state and all of that. And that's the reality of Maine. And so now we have a good idea of what's going to happen. If something were to ever truly hit the fan, we already see what's going to happen. They reacted so late at even talking about closing the borders down and putting in things to slow it down that the damage will be done in a few days. Okay, if anything truly goes wrong, the damage will be done before the state reacts. Okay, we will be flooded with people, our own kinfolk as well as da-da-da. But now my own town situation, by my calculations, will triple, but has a 20% probability of quadrupling, because in my case, I'm one person. But if my son and the grandchildren and his wife come down, that takes me to 6. So I've just gone 6x. In my town, all the properties have been sold since COVID have all gone to out-of-staters who are bidding the property value up $50,000 to $100,000. In your little neck of the woods, is this happening to you? Are out-of-staters flooding in and outbidding everybody for these properties? Is your town changing? Well, now, as I look out at it, 10% of my town's population is from out-of-staters due to COVID. They're buying up every house that goes on the market. Most Mainers won't even compete with what they're bidding. Okay, won't even try to. And my town has a lot of amenities, such as no debt, one of the best high schools in the country, and super low taxes, okay, because we have no debt, right? And so, and it's quiet and peaceful and all of that. And so we don't even have a traffic. Yes, we do. One flashing yellow light in this town, up by the one general store we have. Okay, and that's a 4-way, and it's just a flashing light. It's not even a traffic light. So, so there's a lot of pull for these rich folks to come up here, and it's happening. And so now we know, and they all have plans for their kinfolk to come up to the safe place after what happened in New York and other places that were heavily populated, okay? And that's beyond our own relatives that will be flocking up here because they know, hey, there's plenty up there, let's go there. And case in point, that really has me thinking if something goes down right now, I've got to go to bug out at 6 months to a year. I thought I could bug in indefinitely with my preps and my power and all of that. But the reality of it is, if my population triples here, they issued unlimited doe tags last year. So that means we are at the lowest deer population we have ever been. I've been here 13 years. This is by far the lowest deer population ever. The herds you should be gathering in the fields this time of year and whatnot, and I haven't seen one yet on my bike rides. So I'm hoping to see some flock back, but I think the unlimited doe tags really, really have me deeply concerned that if something were to go down right now, we will not have enough, especially if our population triples. The game will be gone in no time because the unlimited doe tags last year, and people came from other towns and everything to hunt here, and they obviously did a good job because I'm seeing a stark difference. And whatnot. It's going to take a while for it to recover, won't it? All of you who know how this goes knows it takes a while for the populations to recover. So my opinion is we issued doe tags at the exact wrong moment in time, and that could lead to a catastrophic issue going forward. Because if all these people from out of town and our kinfolk come back and people start getting hungry, because our natural resources will begin to get exhausted and people will separate into groups and be hoarding their own stuff at a certain point, right? And that's just the way small towns are. And, you'll have cliques and groups and all that. You have different churches, you have different whatever, right? Different social groups. So that's what will happen. And then people will try and hunt across town lines. Now we have a possible conflict with the other towns that could say not only no, but hell no, and retaliate to make sure that nobody hunts across town lines. And a true SHTF situation is what I'm talking about. So all of this combined now has made me rethink how long I can bug in. And my thought is 6 months to a year. Before I thought it was about 3 years I could bug in easily. Before I got to the point where so many people would die that I would just say, I'm going to bug out anyway, because it's going to be up there with nature and all that. I'm here with nature too, but it's different down here in a rural area versus my bug out. And so now I've had to recalculate everything. And I may start, if anything goes down, right away I'm going to start taking truckloads of stuff that normally I would have left here for long-term bug in. I'm going to start immediately getting it out of here just because I can see the writing on the wall. And the point of this whole video is, have you done recalculations since COVID? Is what's happening in my little town happening in your town? Are out-of-staters bidding the price ups because they know at least someone in their family has to get out of New York or wherever else and get a safe place for their kinfolk to go, or just their base families? But 2 people buy the house, it could wind up with 10 people in it if something were to hit the fan, because they're going to get out of New York. And we used to think they're not going to make it out. They're all driving SUVs now. When you look at Highway 95 coming up through Maine, there's an 8-lane highway, 4 going each way. But the reality of it is, it's about 20 lanes when you add in the left, right shoulder and the center divide. And these people are driving SUVs. So about 85% of the year, those SUVs are going to be using a 20-lane thoroughfare. So even if there's accidents or whatever, they're still going to get up here because of the amount of SUVs that everybody's driving today. Nobody's driving the old station wagon anymore. Pretty much everybody with a family is driving some sort of SUV, or the Toyota Sienna or the Honda, whatever that van is. They're both all-wheel drive, right? So they're going to make it. And they've got plans now, where before we thought it would be chaos. It's not anymore. COVID taught them, have the plan, at least get the kids up there and out of the city. But now, if anything big goes down, they are all fleeing, and it will be like that. It's not going to be, oh, chaos and think about it. They know from COVID, the experience they had, now, let's go now. And that's what's going to happen. It will be probably slow at first, and then it's just going to accelerate. And these people can drive. They're from here. So I have no doubt they're going to get here. Okay, they may have trouble getting out of New York, But they're going to get here, and there's plenty of avenues to break off any trouble that may go down in New York and take other routes in, right? And then reconnect back up in 95 when they get into New Hampshire or whatever. So I see them making it, and enough to be a problem if it were to truly go down. And I've had to change all my calculations, like I said. So what's going on in your town? What's going on in the neck of the woods? Are property values exploding? While in big city life, property values may be going down in some areas, they're going up in rural areas. This is rural sprawl now. They all know it. And I'll do a separate video on a guy who came up and gave a talk at one of our elite colleges. Oh my Lord, it is out. The news is out. The word is out. So the rich are all talking about this, and that's why we're having rural sprawl. And it may be going on in your state or your little town. And they're not going to go south now. They are going north. They realize it will be chaos to go south. They're all going to go north. Okay? So I want you to think about that and do your own calculations, run your own analytics, determine how many grandchildren could possibly show up, children, their spouses, all of that. Do a calculation and tell me if you don't see the potential that your little prepper paradise could possibly triple in population. Hope you're all doing well. Hope life's treating you good. Jim out.